Hello, my name is Denise Henry. I serve as the Director for the Center of Teaching, Learning, and Leadership at CSU Pueblo. This is part 2 of the Transparency and Learning and Teaching for Higher Education, which are some strategies to increase clarity and engagement in your courses. The second part of the video will cover option 2, where you'll identify a teaching method or a policy and then revise it to expand clarity. You might already be practicing transparency in your assignments, perhaps without even calling it TILT. This often involves clearly stating the purpose, task, and criteria for an assignment. While transparent assignments are absolutely essential, TILT goes much deeper than just individual assignments. It's truly a mindset that you can apply throughout your entire course design and how you deliver your lessons. It also applies to course policy. The goal is to reduce ambiguity and empower students to take ownership of their learning. This puts them on the path to agentic learning. We will think about applying transparency in these areas of your course: course structures, teaching activities, feedback processes, and overall expectations. Let's take a few minutes to reflect on the different ways TILT emphasizes being intentional and explicit. You're likely already doing many transparent things, and this is an opportunity to build on that strong foundation. Remember, it's not about doing more work. It's about doing what you already do more clearly and consistency. It's about recognizing that what's obvious to us as experts might not be obvious to our students. We will start small. Even small adjustments can have a significant impact on your students' sense of belonging and their academic success. Take a moment to self-reflect. How do you make the big picture of your course clear right from the very beginning? Aspects of transparent course design include a transparent syllabus, which clearly links your course learning objectives to a specific assignments and activities. It also involves explaining why certain topics are covered. You can also provide module overviews. Provide clear instructions for each module, outlining the learning goals, activities, and how they connect to the larger course objectives. An example of transparent course design here would be, instead of just listing the topics students will study, explain how each topic builds towards a larger understanding or skill. Now let's think about this. How do you explicitly communicate how you teach and why you use particular methods? Transparent teaching methods include explaining the activity purpose. Before you start a group discussion or active learning exercise, explain its purpose and how it contributes to the student's learning. This could also be a connection to the real world or a career. Think aloud modeling. This is something I did often as a math teacher. I would try to make my thought process for problem solving clear to students as I approached a problem on the board. I would verbalize my thought process and how I engaged in the critical thinking. I wanted students to see how someone who'd been practicing this subject for a good bit of time approached a new problem. So for example, you might say, we're doing this group activity today because research shows that collaborating on these types of problems helps solidify your understanding of the concept. That would be making a class discussion or a small group discussion transparent for students. How do you ensure students understand the purpose of your feedback and how they can use it to improve their work? Methods to make feedback transparent include clear rubrics that align with the assignment criteria before students submit their work. So they should know before they even get started what success looks like. Actionable comments. Focus your feedback on specific areas of improvement rather than just giving a grade. One thing you might do is link feedback to a specific reading or material in their textbook. Another thing you might try is not showing a letter, a fraction, or a percent grade, and instead just giving comments and then asking students to revise whatever area of work they submitted that they needed, that you made the comment about, and then give them the grade. How do you demystify how students will be evaluated and what actually constitutes your assessments? You can make assessment expectations clear by making your grading policies transparent and clearly explain how grades are calculated and weighted in your course. Most students do not understand grade weights and how to calculate them themselves. So going through that process with them would be an example of making grading policy clear. Offer students opportunities to practice skills and receive feedback before a high stakes assessment. So lots of formative assessment activities. These don't even have to be anything formal that they're turned in. Practice opportunities can happen through small interactions continuously through the class time. You could also share anonymized examples of strong and weak exam questions or papers or projects to students so that they can see the difference between what a strong assignment looks like and what a weaker assignment looks like. You could also have them evaluate each assignment against the rubric themselves. In what ways do you clearly communicate expectations beyond just academic tasks, fostering a professional and welcoming learning environment? So involving students in this process can increase their buy-in and is a great way to incorporate principles of universal design for learning and critical pedagogy in your class. Working with students to co-create what meaningful participation looks like helps them be a part of the design of that activity and of the success criteria. Similarly, co-creating expectations for respectful communication and collaboration in the classroom gives everyone a chance to have input on communication norms that they are comfortable with and not comfortable with. Sometimes they'll identify areas that didn't even occur to us as instructors. When you're implementing an assignment change or an assignment revision or revision to a class policy, we'll think about small teaching. Small means small. It means pick one area, work in that area to refine it. So work in that area to make it more transparent. Try it with your students, get their feedback, see how it worked. Spend some time tweaking that again. Get that revised activity or policy to a place where you're liking the way it's happening, and then move on to the next thing. So that way you're developing strong assignments, strong policies, strong activities, and not feeling overwhelmed by trying to do too much at once. Over time, your toolbox will build and your assignment bank will build and your course will become completely transparent. So this brings us to the end of the recommendations for small teaching strategies. There are a large number, or not small teaching strategies, excuse me, for transparent teaching strategies. There are a good bit of resources in the module, and there are also examples of activities from many different disciplines shared inside the module folder. So please do check those out for inspiration. And this last slide, the next two slides, highlight the way that universal design for learning is applied in this module. So UDL is a way to, again, create agentic learners by helping them take ownership of their own learning. We're helping them take ownership of their own learning by refining the design of the course to remove barriers to learning before students even get to the course material. So you could take a moment and read through those. And then I also wanted to highlight, this is the Universal Design for Learning Graphic Organizer. And it shows, again, those 3 categories. Vertically are the categories, and then horizontally are on the rows. It shows you design options for increasing access to the materials, learning support, and executive function. So the yellow rectangles on this page are all the areas I could identify where UDL was present in this learning module that I prepared. And I wanted to highlight that some of them were intentionally done and others are there because I've been working on UDL for a really long time. So over time, you start to bake these design options into your course without even really overtly thinking about it. It just becomes the way that you do the teaching and do the course design. So start small. Don't worry about trying to do everything all at once. Remember that there are resources for you and that there's also assistance provided to you as well throughout the course. So please do reach out to me via email or through the course material. Thank you so much.